Hello everybody, Inter back again with another video. I have gotten a couple of comments on my latest video after the reaction video after the Montreal final between Rafa Nadal and Daniil Medvedev, and one specific comment that I have gotten, it is from my very good friend of mine, Goldwolf. He wrote a huge long comment, and I am in very hurry. I have to go out with my son. He has a soccer training, so for me, sometimes it is easier to respond in a video than to respond by with fingers. So especially because English is not my first language, so it takes time for me to answer long comments. So I will do a video instead. Look, my friend and everybody else, I of course know that 2016 and 2018, Rafael Nadal and Roger Federer, they never faced each other. And of course, if they have faced each other when one of the other was not feeling super great, like Roger was not super great in 2018, probably Rafa would have defeated him in fast surfaces. Probably. We can never know for sure. And then in 2016, when Roger had a pretty bad year and he was not 100% healthy as well, if Rafa and Roger would have faced each other in 2016, Rafa would have defeated him. Most probably he would have done that. But this is circumstances that we don't know for sure. For example, in 2011 French Open, I am one of them who believes that if Novak would have come through Roger Federer in that 2011 French Open semi-final, when Novak was in that great run, when he won over 40 matches that year, he was unbeatable. He didn't lose any single match until that match in French Open semi-final, when Federer stopped him in 4 sets. I am one of them who believes that if Novak would have come through, he would have defeated Rafa Nadal in that French Open final 2011. And I'm gonna say a secret to all of you. I have never said this because I have not spoken about this so much before. That is the only match in my entire life, as long as I've been a Federer fan since 2001, that I actually didn't want Federer to beat Djokovic that semifinal, because I was dead sure that Federer would not defeat Nadal in the final. I was dead sure. And I was so sick and tired of seeing Rafa winning French Open every single year. And I thought to myself that, come on, man, please somebody just show up and stop him. You know me, guys, I hate predictable tennis matches. And to see Federer play against Rafa Nadal in French Open, I hate it. I really hate it. And that's why when Federer was facing Nadal 2-3 months ago in French Open semi-final, I was not excited at all, like many in the world was. Because I don't like to see Federer losing. I don't like to see Federer getting beat. And the way he does it in French Open, he's not even close of defeating Rafa Nadal. So that was the match, the only match that I have wished Federer to lose against Djokovic in that 2011 semi-final. Not that I'm a Novak fan. Absolutely not. I'm not a Novak fan. And you know that. I've said so many times. But I just wanted a battle in the final. I wanted a more predictable French Open final. I wanted a new winner. Because Rafa wins French Open more or less every year. We all know that. But unfortunately, Federer defeated Novak Djokovic, and then Federer lost, of course, to Nadal in the final. So my conclusion is that Djokovic, most likely, I am not sure, we are not sure, who is sure, nobody would have defeated Nadal in that French Open final 2011. But we cannot be sure. We can just speculate. And we are speculating here as well. 2016, Federer and Nadal never faced each other. 2018, Federer and Nadal never faced each other. 2015, they faced each other only one time, if I'm not mistaken. And that was in that Basel final, which Federer won, a very close one in 3 sets. So you're asking me why I'm not mentioning this year. Because why should I mention them, my friend? I cannot go in details and mention every single year, because if I did that, we are not having videos, we are having documentaries. And I'm not doing videos who are 40, 50, 1 hour long. I'm doing videos who are 15, 20, sometimes over 20 minutes. So the bottom truth is that Rafa has not defeated Roger Federer in 5 years outside clay. He has not done it. Something has switched in their matchup. Something has switched. Federer has improved some things. Federer has started to believing more in himself against Nadal. Federer is not he's feeling more confident in himself when he's facing Nadal. That 2017 match in Australian Open final 2 years ago, that was a switch in Federer's head against Nadal. It really was, because after that Federer has been looking really confident against Nadal. Like we all know, he defeated Nadal that year 4 times, if I'm not mistaken. He defeated him 4 times that year. And yes, you're writing in your comment, he owned Nadal that year. Yes, he did. So, and Federer has more or less, he has never looked back since that Australian Open final 2017. He has never looked back. He has held his pedal on the gas since then. He has not looked back, my friend, and all the others. So I'm not gonna give all the details. Yes, I know 2016 they never faced each other, and Federer had a pretty bad year that year. He was not superb that year, and he had some troubles that year with his back, I believe, and with his knee, mostly with his knee. But we cannot know what would have happened. Of course, if they faced each other, Nadal would most likely defeated Federer outside clay. You know, we are talking outside clay. We'll leave it clay from. I'm not speaking about clay, because clay we know that what Nadal is and who Nadal is and what Nadal have done and will still do. So they didn't face each other in 2016. I know. And in 2018, they didn't face each other as well. But what I'm not liking, I have said this before, and I will say it again. I am just sick and tired of all these Rafa excuses when he loses. I am getting nuts. Really, I'm getting nuts. Not only with you, my friend, because the world is big, and Rafael Nadal is a gigantic tennis player. He is famous all around the world. He has millions and millions and millions of fans. Nobody gets excuses when Rafa loses tennis matches like Rafa Nadal does. Nobody of these big 3 fans, Federer fans, Novak fans, and Rafa fans. Nobody. This is really the truth. I read many social medias. I watch a lot of YouTubes. I read a lot of tennis papers. Basically, I'm a tennis nerd. I don't even need to say that anymore. You should know that by now. And when Rafa loses, when Federer loses, when Novak loses, it is no question of a doubt. It is no shadow of a doubt that the player who gets most excuses from his fans that he lost, it is Rafa Nadal. It is so, I have heard it so many times. When he loses, not all of his fans, I'm not saying that all of his fans, I'm saying the majority of his fans. Goldwolf, you are not alone. You are not alone, my friend. We have many in the world. Rafa loses, he was hurt. He had his knee, he had his wrist, he had his foot, he had his back. What is happening? I don't know. I don't know. Should I cry or should I laugh? What is happening? When he lost in 2009 against Robert Federer, I've heard it so many times. He was hurt. He had his knee. Stop it. Robin did his match of his life. Why doesn't Rafa fans give the guy credit? Give the guy credit, for God's sakes. Rafa played. Who knows? Do we know Rafa? Do we know Rafa? We have not even met him. Who knows if he was 100%? Most probably maybe he wasn't. But what I know is that he destroyed Robin 2-3 weeks ago. 2-3 weeks earlier in Rome. He gave one of the sets a bagel, a breadstick to him. One of the sets. I don't know, 6-1, 6-2, or 6-1, or 6-0. Something like that. He raped Robin. He raped Robin in Rome just 2, 3, 4, 5 weeks earlier. And then they face each other in that 2009 French Open 4th round. And then Robin pulls in my opinion, maybe the greatest upset of all time in tennis. Nobody was counting with that. Robin won in 4 sets. And then I read so many times on different social medias, and I've read it in so many years after that, 10 years later now, 2019, we are today. Rafa lost because he was hurt. Rafa lost because he was injured. No, he didn't. That is not the truth. He played, and Robin won fairly. Robin won because he was better player. Robin won because he won the bet. He was more clutch in big moments. Rafa had some chances. He had some breakpoint opportunities. Robin saved them. And when Robin had breakpoint opportunities, he took almost all of them. That is how you know, guys, you should not forget that in tennis, sometimes, maybe many times, it is small margins. You saw the Wimbledon final, for God's sakes, 1 month ago. Djokovic was just 1 shot away of losing. 1 shot. But we don't remember the losers. We remember the winners. And I hate it. And I hate it. And I'm sick when I hear so many times when Rafa loses, he was not healthy. I'm getting so frustrated. I'm getting so tired of this. I'm getting so tired. We don't hear it so many times from Novak fans and from Federer fans. Federer lost against Raonic in 2016 Wimbledon semi-final, if I'm not mistaken. I have never said that Federer lost because he was not healthy 100%. I have never said that. Federer lost because he was the worst player that day. Raonic won fairly. Raonic won because he was a better player. Federer was up in the lead, I think, 2-1. I think, if I'm not mistaken. Federer had his opportunities. Federer had his chances. He didn't took them. He didn't took them. Should I say now Federer lost because he was injured? Federer lost because he was not 100% healthy? No! I refuse to be like that. Never. Never. I don't work like that. Raonic was the better player, and that's why Raonic won. Period. I am not getting all this stuff. Rafa was hurt. Rafa was having problems with the back, with his knee, with his foot, with his wrist, with his arm. What is this? Same thing in 2015 when Novak destroyed Rafa. Same thing in French Open quarterfinal. All over again. Now Rafa was hurt. Rafa was that. Rafa was that. Why was Rafa not hurt the four matches that he won in that French Open 2015? He destroyed his opponents in that 2015 French Open. His first matches. He destroyed his opponents. He won in straight sets all those 4 matches. Why was Rafa not hurt in 2009? He destroyed his 3 first opponents in 2009 French Open before he lost to Söderling. Why was he not hurt in those 3 matches? What is happening? What is happening with the Rafa fans? All these excuses. I am getting totally insane. I'm getting totally nuts. All this, and the same now in Australian Open. For God's sakes, he won 6 matches without losing 1 single set. I am not. To be quite honest, I'm getting nuts. I am getting nuts with all these Rafa excuses when he loses. When will Rafa fans stop with this? Why don't we hear so many excuses of that 2008, of that 2012 Australian Open epic final between Rafa Nadal and Novak Djokovic, when we all know the longest Grand Slam final ever? Why don't we have excuses there? You know that Rafa had tape on his right knee in that final? You know that? He had tape. Just look at the match. I have seen it many times. He was not 100% before that tournament started. He had tape. So much big tape on his knee. So much big tape he had. In that 2012 Australian Open final. We have never heard excuses about that match. When Rafa showed us signs that he was not 100% healthy, maybe, when he had tape on his right knee. Even the commentators were saying Rafa has had some troubles with his knee before this tournament started. We have never heard about excuses about that loss. But we hear excuses when Rafa doesn't have tape on his knee, like he didn't have in this Australian Open final against Novak. We hear excuses in 2009 when Rafa lost against Söderling. We hear in French Open. We hear excuses when Rafa lost against Novak Djokovic in 2015 French Open. Novak did probably his best year of his career in 2015. Some say it is 2011. Some say it is 2015. That can be discussed. But if you look at the match, if you look at the tournaments that he has won, it is actually the 2015. If you look at the 2011, yes. And if you look at all the Grand Slams, Novak, he played all the Grand Slam finals in that 2015. All. Australian Open, French Open, Wimbledon, and US Open. Which didn't happen in 2011, like we all know, because Novak lost in that semi-final against Federer in 2011 French Open. Novak was doing his best year of his career. Why do you guys think it is strange that he destroyed Rafa Nadal? Is it somebody who can destroy Rafa Nadal? It is, of course, him. Novak is Rafa's biggest kryptonite in his career. Novak is Rafa's biggest threat in his career. Novak is the player who has defeated Rafa Nadal most times in his career. Novak is the only player, I have talked about this before, Novak is the only player in the world who has defeated Rafa Nadal in all the Grand Slams. He's the only player. We don't even have a player who has defeated Rafa Nadal 3 times in 3 different Grand Slams. 3 times we don't even have. We have only 2 times. And I've spoken about this in earlier videos. Novak, not 3. He has defeated Rafa Nadal in all the Grand Slams. And Rafa has not defeated Novak in all the Grand Slams. Rafa has never defeated Novak Djokovic in Australian Open. He has defeated him in French Open, of course, Wimbledon, and US Open, but never in Australian Open. Despite all this, and you guys know, because I know that most of you Rafa fans, you know tennis. I know that you know tennis. But why are you coming with all these excuses? Why? I am not getting this. I am sick and tired of all these excuses. Why are not we Federer fans, me one of them, coming with excuses when Federer loses? Why are we not doing that? Why? Why are Novak fans? You know that Novak, when he lost against Stan Wawrinka in 2016 US Open, I've seen that match. I saw that a couple days ago as well. Novak was not feeling 100% healthy in that 4th set. I don't know if you guys remember, he was not feeling 100% healthy in that 4th set. He could barely move. And he just look at the match. 2016 US Open final between Novak Djokovic and Stan Wawrinka. Just look at the match. But I have not heard so many Novak fans saying, no, Novak lost because he was not healthy. Novak lost because he was not feeling 100% healthy and things like that. It is always Rafa fans. Always. The only match I give Rafa an excuse, and the Rafa fans, the only match, because you can see that clearly with your eyes. Just use the eyes and look and watch the guy. It is the 2014 Australian Open final. Then you could clearly see that Rafa was not healthy enough after the 1st set. Not the 1st set. The 1st set he was totally healthy. But after the 1st set, Rafa was not healthy enough. He hurted his back. He could barely serve. He could barely move. That you could clearly see with the eyes. But you cannot clearly see that Rafa couldn't move great against Djokovic in Australian Open final earlier this year. You cannot clearly see that Rafa couldn't move against Söderling in 2009 French Open. You cannot clearly see that Rafa couldn't move great against Djokovic in 2015 French Open. Come on, guys, use the logic sense. Use the logic sense. Don't just write things that feels good to you, for you, and to give yourself to make you feel good, to make you feel better as Rafa fans why he lost. Don't use excuses. Don't use the eyes use the logic sense, the common sense, use the common sense for God's sakes. And I'm saying 2014 Oslo Open final, I can clearly see that Rafa was not moving great after the first set, and I was sure that Rafa would lose. You cannot beat a player on this level, especially a player who is a red hot fire like Novak was in that 2014. He defeated Novak Djokovic on his way to that Australian Open final with not being 100% healthy. You cannot do it. You cannot do it. Simple as that. You cannot do it. And Rafa in that match, he was hurt after the first set. He was hurt. Not the others. I have heard so many times when Rafa loses, he was not healthy, he was not that. A lot of Wimbledon exits that Rafa has had throughout the years. Russell, Kyrgios, Müller, you name it. I have heard so many times he was not healthy, he was not that, he was not that. I am getting totally insane with all this. I'm getting too emotional because I'm getting too emotional because I've read this in so many years. When Rafa loses, I have had enough of this injury Rafa excuses. I have had enough. That is the main truth. I have had enough. The Novak fans doesn't come with this much of excuses when Novak loses. The Federer fans doesn't come with this much of excuses when Federer loses. But the Rafa fans does it. Not all of them, because there are millions of them out around the world, but many of them are doing that. Many of them are doing that. But you are not being fair. You are not being fair. I swear to God, you are not being fair. Because you are not using the common sense. You are not using the common sense. And I said, in that 2014 Oslo Open final against Wawrinka, yes, Rafa was hurt after that first set. You could clearly see. But all the other matches when Rafa loses, you cannot clearly see that Rafa is not healthy 100%. You cannot clearly see. You cannot clearly see. And I'm not buying all this stuff. And I really wish from my bottom of my heart that Rafa fans around the world stop coming with all these excuses when Rafa loses. I really wish it, because I am sick and tired of this. I really am sick and tired of this. I really am. I really am, because it feels like every time Rafa will lose a tennis match, especially in Grand Slams, we will have a lot of excuses from the Rafa fans. He lost because he had hurt his knee, he had hurt his foot, he had hurt his neck, he had hurt his back. And I am really sick and tired of this. I really am. I really, really am. And I really, really wish that you all stop with these excuses. I really wish. Alright guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. Take care and bye bye.